welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the season 3 of 13 Reasons Why. So let's go ahead and get right into it because I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because my last video was really long, which I like long videos, so whatever, we're just going to move on. First off, I have notes that I wrote down, but I forgot to write down notes for the last 4 episodes, so I'm just kind of like put those all together as one episode. But I only wrote like 2 or 3 notes for each episode because I don't know if everybody has watched the series yet or not. I don't want to give out too much information. But if you would like to talk about the show, you can leave a comment down below and I will comment back to you and we can talk about all things 13 Reasons Why. Let me know all your thoughts because it's a very controversial show. I think I said that right. And it's very like, a lot of the stuff that they talk about is very taboo and very stuff that no one really likes to speak on or talk about. It's kind of all just hidden within, like we know it's a thing and it happens, but it's kind of like nobody really talks about it in like groups of people or whatever. It's not a social thing to talk about. But the first episode I pulled the note of that, first of all, I missed Hannah because it's just so weird without the main person that was in the show. I know Clay is basically the main person, but like I really miss him. Also, I totally forgot about Sky for like going halfway down into the season. Like I had to go back and Google it to see what happened to her because I totally forgot that basically she wasn't going to be in the season because she went to go live with her aunt and uncle and kind of get into a better mindset and like mental state. And so that was a thing that I wrote down. And I also was talking about how the episode was very confusing to me, and it kind of made it seem like I had a friend who she watched the first episode and then was like, I'm not going to watch any more of it. I didn't like that episode. And I didn't really like the episode either because it was kind of confusing to me. Like they were talking about 2 different nights. They were talking about the night of the school shooting that almost happened that ended the last season, and then they were also mentioning the night that Bryce went missing, the homecoming game. And so it was flipping between both of those nights, and it got confusing. I was like, wait, this happened this night, and then this happened this night, and I had to like really, really pay attention to the episode to understand which night they were talking about because it was just kind of intertwined between the two. But I told her it's better once you get past the first episode. It's really, really good. It's a really well put together season, I feel like. And so episode 2, I mentioned that it got a lot better. And then I also talked about how I really liked the way that it would show like them in like Clay and Justin's bedroom, and then it would like show their character like watching their own character, and then it would kind of like the camera would do like a weird edit, and then it would show them like walking in and out of the same thing, like looking at themselves or something. I don't know how to explain it. Like if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. But it was really cool. I liked how they pulled that in between. I think they did that in the first and second season too, but I really saw it in this season as well. And I just thought that was a really cool way to edit the series. Oh, and I also talked about how the first episode I didn't really like Ani, but then as the season went on, I really, really liked her, and I really liked the character and how she basically was helping us as the viewers piece everything together, and it was really cool. Although I kind of hated that usually it's Clay, but then again, her like personality and stuff was just so really, it was just, I don't know how to explain it, but her personality was a really cool vibe to have like throughout the series, just like seeing how she kind of put herself into the whole story without not knowing much about it. She kind of like got herself jumped into it, and it almost felt like she had been there since the beginning. It was so crazy. I did have a feeling when the last season ended, when Chloe found out she was pregnant, I had a feeling that they were going to pull abortion into the series. This is probably going to be, there's a few spoilers in this video, but not too many. But yeah, I had a feeling that that was going to happen. Episode 3, this is the episode, so there's a scene where Jessica goes to Bryce's house and basically talks to him and like confronts him about everything and like tells him look, I'm doing way better than I was previously, and like you can't stop me from like telling everybody about my story and all that kind of stuff. And he like at one point, I can't remember exactly the words that they said, but they were talking about that, and then he mentioned, he was like, well, I hope that that never happens. And it was like, well, dude, it literally happened. Like, you literally made this happen to her. And I was just like, if you don't already hate Bryce, you will hate him this episode, like 100%. That episode just had me like boiling with how like awful of a person he was in that particular episode. I mean, obviously he's an awful person, but you know. In episode 4, I talked about how it was just really odd to me. I understand that they were trying to help him, but it just was weird to me how like whenever they would go and take Tyler different places and basically like eyeball him, they would always, it almost felt like they were like puppy dogging him, like, come on Tyler, come on, let's go, come on little puppy. Like, it was just really weird how they were treating him, and it made me kind of sad that it took them so long into the series to even figure out that something was seriously wrong. Like, they mentioned it multiple times and were like, something does not add up with him, and it took them such a long time this season to find out exactly what happened to him. Oh yeah, and then it kind of like was weird to me because you would think that the kids would be smart enough not to hide all the guns in the river. Like, of all places, you know the river is the worst spot to hide the guns, and that's like, they talked about that in the end of the episode. But then also I wrote that they wouldn't have ever expected Bryce to be found dead at the river. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they wouldn't have even thought of it. They thought that nothing was going to come up of it. But honestly, like, if you would think about it, like, that's like the number one place everybody goes to hide things, is to dump it off into a river. Oh, and then number 5, episode 5 was all about like, it was all about the drugs. Basically, it was all about the steroids and all about basically drug use was the entire episode. That's pretty much all that I had. Oh, and then we find out that Monty has a secret, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but if you've watched it, you know, and you can talk about it in the comments. Just spoiler alert, if you want to read the comments, go ahead, but if you have not seen that season, then I would definitely not read the comments. But yeah, so there's a secret that Monty has, and then in episode 6, it's the funeral episode for Bryce, because we find out that he is dead. We actually find that out in the second episode, but everybody, well, we as viewers know that he is dead because of the trailers, but the characters don't know he's dead. They just think he's missing, and they don't think that they think he's like drunk somewhere, or like hungover or whatever, like woke up hungover somewhere. In this episode, they also talk about Tony's parents and his family are deported, which is a huge thing that happened last year in the U.S., and that's really interesting because it kind of brought me back to, if you've ever watched The Fosters, that show talks about a lot about that. And that show is it's almost similar shows, although The Fosters isn't as intense as this show is. It does speak upon things that are happening in the world, but it doesn't, or in those years, and then it, but then it doesn't go really, really deep into it how this show does. Oh, and then also the police pull up footage of when Clay went to Bryce's house in the previous episode and confronted him with the gun, and Justin was there. That happened. And then the next episode is all basically the police discovering and going through that footage and trying to figure out why Clay went there and was trying to point a gun at him. Oh, and then we find out that Ani and Bryce actually have a relationship together, and Ani and Clay kiss finally, which is what I figured would happen throughout the whole season. Yeah, and then basically Clay is just interrogated by everybody, and it makes me so annoyed that the entire season they think that he did it, and it's like, no, he did not, and they keep wasting so much time on this one person, which, to be completely honest, that does happen a lot in the system. It, like, people will be found guilty for something that they really aren't guilty for, and or like they get accused easily, and then it stays with them, and they never find out the actual real truth of what happens. And then episode 8, Mr. Porter is back in town, and also I noticed that Chloe, after the abortion episode, she really wasn't in the season anymore, and it made me kind of sad because I really liked her character. And then we also find out about secrets of Bryce's family, and like that his dad had secrets, his mom had secrets, I think. I don't really remember. Also, we find out that Clay finds meds that were given to Justin from Bryce. So there's that. And then episode 9, we find out, we go deeper into the drug abuse with Justin, and we also find out about like the whole story between him and Bryce and how he got those drugs. And then 10 through 13, I basically, Hannah's mom is back, and I basically never wrote down what happened because I was just watching it and didn't really pay attention to writing anything down. Oh, Hannah's mom is back, and she has a little bit to say to Bryce, and she has stuff that she kind of like, they pull her in because they think that she is a person of interest because they find out about things between her and Clay talking to each other on the phone. And then we basically are left with them finding one of the guns, I think. I don't know how many. I wasn't really paying attention to that part. But we find out that the guns are actually pulled from the river. And we think that that could pull into the next season. And then also there's stuff that happens with Monty. Actually, I can say that Monty does get put into jail for what he did to Tyler, thank goodness. There's some other stuff that happens with him, and then like the person that he has stuff with, like that he's a friend to or whatever, he confronts Ani and is like, but he was with me, he was not out and about going and killing Bryce, so that could potentially be a problem. But I don't want to talk too much spoilers or anything like that. I will talk about them in the comments with you because I want people to watch this or like they want to know more about the show and stuff, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers. So yeah, that is my video for today. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe because I'm so close to hitting 100 subscribers. And I will be so happy to have you join my little family here on YouTube. Yeah, I really truly love this show, and I wanted to do a little recap and video talking about it because it's one of the shows that I feel like it gets a lot of hate, and I feel like it's such a good show that we as society needs this type of show because it's really bringing a spark and a light to certain situations that really nobody talks about and kind of pulls underneath the rug and doesn't really mention it or anything. They're just kind of like, yeah, these things happen, but whatever. And so I really, really like that, and it really teaches you about all the things that are going on and all that stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!